All right, today we are diving into something truly special, a powerful blueprint for African luxury. We're going to unpack the real-world strategy for taking the continent's incredible creative talent and launching it onto the global stage. But first, let's start with the big question, the one that hangs in the air. You see all this amazing talent, this incredible heritage. So why do so many of these brilliant brands seem to hit a glass ceiling when they try to go global? What is that invisible barrier? Well, to get to the bottom of that, we're looking at the work of strategist Grace Mumo. And her white paper is so important because it doesn't just ask the questions. Nope. It lays out a clear, actionable blueprint for smashing right through that ceiling. So, Mumo kicks things off with a diagnosis. She makes it super clear that the problem is not a lack of talent or creativity, not at all. Instead, she pinpoints three very specific structural roadblocks that are holding these brands back. First up is what she calls the venture gap. And it's pretty simple when you break it down. Building a luxury brand, that takes time. It needs patient investment to build a real heritage. But a lot of the money out there, it's looking for that quick rocket ship return you see in tech. It's a fundamental mismatch. The second barrier, this one's a real headache, logistical fragility. Just picture this. You create a stunning handcrafted bag, but the cost to ship it from Lagos to London is actually more than it cost you to make the bag in the first place. That's the reality for so many creators who are fighting this maze of high costs and confusing rules every single day. And finally, we have narrative marginalization. And this one is absolutely crucial. This is what happens when the global story of luxury is told, but the African creators, the actual custodians of the culture, aren't in the room. This leads to what Mumo calls cultural skimming, where Western brands can just borrow the aesthetic, but the real value, it doesn't flow back to the community where it all began. Okay, so those are the problems, and they are significant. But this is where things get really interesting. This is the turning point. Mumo argues that the solution starts with a huge shift in mindset, one she calls the authenticity paradox. And at the absolute core of her argument is this one powerful sentence. Grace Mumo says, craftsmanship is the entry fee, but branding is the profit. Let that sink in for a second. Making a beautiful product just gets you in the door. To actually win, to build a business that scales and lasts, you have to become a master of branding. This really lays out the two different paths. On one side, you have the craftsmanship trap. That's getting stuck on made in Africa as just a novelty, or even worse, as a charity case. The solution is to completely reframe the conversation to designed in Africa for the world. It's not about ditching your heritage, not at all. It's about professionalizing your story so you can compete with anyone, anywhere. Okay, so if branding is the key, how do you actually build it? Mumo breaks it down into two super practical pillars, distribution and positioning. Basically, where you sell and how the world sees you. A global presence isn't optional, it's everything. And it's a three-pronged attack. You've got to have strong roots in key African hubs like Nairobi and Johannesburg. Then you absolutely have to plant a flag in the big four fashion capitals. And to tie it all together, you have to dominate online, using amazing digital platforms like Industria Africa and The Folklore to tell your story to the world. And here's a little peek into the future that Mumo provides. The global luxury customer is changing. They're moving away from just flashy logos and ostentatious wealth. The new mood is silent luxury. It's all about incredible quality, a deep story, and real heritage. And you know what? This is a massive, golden opportunity for brands that have authenticity in their DNA. So, once you've got your brand positioned just right, the next step is to build a business that's tough, that's resilient. Mumo gives us a clear strategy for managing the very real risks that come with taking your brand global. She builds it on three pillars. First, aggressive IP protection. You have got to legally protect your designs and cultural symbols before you get big. Second, collaboration is key. It's about building ecosystems to share those crushing logistics and retail costs, because going it alone is tough. And third, omni-channel resilience. You balance sales from local shops with high-margin global e-commerce. That's how you build a business that can survive anything. Now, this isn't just a bunch of ideas. Mumo turns all this insight into a direct three-step action plan for any brand that's serious about getting ready for the world stage. And here it is. Step 1. Codify your narrative. That means you write your brand heritage Bible. Know your story inside and out. Step 2. Audit your supply chain. Be brutally honest. Can you get a product to a customer anywhere in the world in 3 to 5 days? If not, figure it out. And finally, step 3, secure those strategic partnerships. Find trusted advisors in your target markets who can help you navigate the game. So, we've walked through the blueprint, but what I love about Mumo's work is that it doesn't stop with the answers. It actually pushes us to look to the horizon, leaving us with these critical questions that will shape the entire future of African luxury. And think about this for a second. How can a brand maintain true, deep cultural ownership while also evolving its look and feel to connect with a global audience? That is a delicate balance to strike, but it's essential. Next, there's a really practical question. We hear about huge infrastructure projects like the Lobito Corridor, but are they actually being used in a way that brings down that crippling cost of luxury for exporters? This is a huge systemic problem that needs a real solution. And finally, a question that looks to the future. So many traditional African practices are inherently sustainable, they're circular by nature. So how can brands go beyond just using sustainability as a marketing buzzword? How can they leverage those deep-rooted practices as a genuine, powerful competitive advantage on the world stage? Figuring that out, well, that might just be the ultimate key to the future.